Hi there, Facebook. I'm back, reluctantly, to talk about what we just saw in game number 2 of game 2 tonight. Man, my 76ers look like they might be no more. It looks like LeBron just got another huge break. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but first, one last cameo from our daughter Hazel, our little Maltese, who basically slept through the second half of that game because she just got tired of watching the 76ers, and I do not blame her. Hi, how are you? I just got to clean my nose before we do a little Facebook here. There we go. Hi, Hazel. Say hi to Facebook. Hi. Kiss. No kisses. She's still about half asleep. So, here we go, Facebook. I did pick the Philadelphia 76ers to win the East. I don't know what I did to my phone here tonight. It's a little off kilter here, but whatever. My tilt is wrong and I don't know how to fix it, but that's okay. I'll stay right here with you. I'm going to try to stay with my pick of the 76ers, but it's looking dismal because they just got dismantled by a better basketball team. I picked the 76ers to dethrone LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe they're a terrible matchup for Cleveland. We saw that on March the 1st and at the end of the regular season on that late Friday night game. We saw the 76ers dismantle the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just a bad matchup because they can protect the rim. Those two can in the middle, Joel Embiid, and the artist formerly known as Ben Simmons. But against LeBron, they can just take the paint away from LeBron and make it tough on everybody. And LeBron's team is not the best defensive team, while Philadelphia led the NBA in opponent's field goal percentage, so they can shut down the Cavaliers. That would be a bad matchup. I would like Philly, which obviously won barely home field advantage over the Cleveland Cavaliers. I would like them in 7 games over LeBron. And now it looks like that is not going to happen because Terry Rozier, in a shock to me, has turned into Kyrie Irving. I'm the biggest Kyrie fan, as you probably know from watching Undisputed. That's 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. No Undisputed tomorrow. I think we're preempted by NASCAR. So indulge me tonight because I got to get all this out of my system. But it looks like LeBron James just got another huge break. He's going to dodge the bullet that was the Philadelphia 76ers coming straight for his playoff heart. He was about to be dethroned. And yet I think the Cavs will be a bad matchup for a very good, very well-coached Boston team, as we often saw in the regular season. Obviously, Kyrie is gone for the season. Obviously, Gordon Hayward was lost for the season in game number 1. At Cleveland, there's just something about LeBron and these Celtics. He'll have their number. He had their number last year. Obviously, it was Isaiah Thomas's team. Then Isaiah comes to LeBron. It's a disaster and a debacle, and Dan Gilbert does a sweet last-second end of deadline job of getting rid of Isaiah Thomas and restocking the shelves with George Hill, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, Larry Nance Jr., and all of a sudden the Cavs are taking off right on schedule. It is a joke what kind of opponent Toronto is. I did that in the previous Facebook tonight. I picked a sweep there. I picked 76ers in 6 games against Boston, and that is looking extremely dismal because that means now the 76ers would have to flip the script and win 4 straight games, and it doesn't look like they can win 1 straight game after what happened tonight, though at plus 22 because they were 22 up with about 4 minutes left in the second quarter. I thought I had it. This team, these Sixers, have been exploding on people down the stretch of the regular season. They were 25-25, and then they took off. And near the end of the season, they had an 80-point half and a 78-point half and an 80-point half. And by the way, the 78-point half was the first half against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are extremely explosive. They added Bellinelli and Ilyasova, bombing threes. J.J. Redick's playing the best basketball of his life. And Ben Simmons had arrived. Embiid had already arrived. And Ben Simmons took over the team as the 7-foot-tall point guard, bringing the ball up the floor, attacking, distributing, looking Magic Johnson-esque. And it looked like here came the 76ers. I keep comparing them to the 92 Cowboys that arrived a year ahead of schedule in the National Football League and won their first Super Bowl under Jimmy Johnson against Buffalo before anybody thought they would. And that's what this team looked like until game one of this series. They pretty much got dismantled in that game. And then tonight, they're up 22 points. They looked like that team that was putting up 80-point halves. And I thought, here we go, back on schedule, all is right, so much for the cute little Boston Celtics. And then I made a terrible move. And you can laugh at me if you would like, but my wife laughs at me constantly. Ernestine, who just brought Hazel in here, she thinks I'm completely out of my mind, and you probably will too, but you, I'm sure, share some of these jinxes with me. I am jinx possessed. I believe in all kinds of jinxes. And she often asks me, so you think what you do in our place in Century City on the west side of Los Angeles, California, can impact a game in Boston, Massachusetts? And I say yes. And I impacted and changed the game tonight because I was in this room, which is my TV room. It's not a man cave. It's just my work room. This is where I work. This is where I, by myself, watch these games. I got 2 big screens. Usually I have 2 games going at once, though I can usually only digest and compute 1 game at a time. And in this case, I was watching my 76ers. And I was ready for them to take control of this series and stay on that epic battle path toward LeBron James. And at plus 22, they're 22 points ahead. Ernestine says, hey, since you don't have a show tomorrow and you don't have to work into the night like I usually do, I work deep into the night here. I keep my watch on East Coast time so I don't lose my mind. But remember, I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do Undisputed Pacific time. So I always say, because always for First Take, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's 2 o'clock here. So I just keep my watch on East Coast time, and I think I'll go to bed at midnight, quote unquote, it's 9 o'clock here, and I'll get up at 5, which is actually 2 o'clock here. But tonight, I don't have to do that. I can sleep in a little bit tomorrow. So she said, hey, because she's always in the living room, just right around the corner from my room here, watching, I don't know what she watches, American Idol or HGTV, or sometimes she likes the NBA. Sometimes she loves the Spurs. She'll watch Spurs games, and she was definitely watching this game. So she's saying, well, just come in here and watch it with me. You don't have a show. And I made the fatal mistake of saying, you know what? I'll try this because it looks like they're in such command. I'm going to do this. So I unplugged my computer. I walked through this door and around the corner into the living room, plugged my computer in, sat on the couch at the coffee table. She brought in dinner for both of us, and I sat in awe on the edge of the couch as the Boston Celtics stormed back, and my Philadelphia 76ers lost their collective three-point jacking minds and degenerated into awful shot after awful shot after awful shot. And all of a sudden, 22 went down to 4 at halftime. So I tweeted, well, you know, obviously Philly would take a 4-point lead at Boston in pivotal, crucial game 2 any day of the week. Except the way this one happened, they lost all momentum, they lost all flow, they lost all touch with what they were at the end of the regular season and what they were against the Miami Heat in those 5 games, 4 dominant games, obviously. And I sat there until halftime, and I turned to her and I said, see? What did I tell you? See? I don't know why my phone's tilted wrong here. I don't know enough technically to fix it. Sorry about that. I'm not looking into the distance. I'm actually looking straight into the phone, but somehow my eyes are up. I don't know. I turned to my wife. I said, Ernestine. No, I don't say that. I don't call her that much. I don't use her first name that much. But I said, did I not tell you? Did you see what just happened? I said this was dangerous, and I just wrecked my pick. And I unplugged my computer, and I came back in this room, and I tried to undo it jinx-wise through the second half, but the damage was mostly done. They did fight back. They did get a brief, small lead, and then Terry Rozier turned into Kyrie Irving. And I'm not kidding about that. There are two players from Rick Pitino's Louisville program who right now are playing extraordinary, highest-level basketball, and that is my man, Donovan Mitchell with the Utah Jazz, who should be the Rookie of the Year, because I'm about to get to the guy who's going to win it and shouldn't win it. But that's number one. I did not see him coming, and I watched a good bit of Louisville basketball a year ago. I just didn't see it. I thought he was a nice player. I didn't think that. He's turning into James Harden / Russell Westbrook. He outplayed James Harden down the stretch last night. He took on Russell Westbrook head-to-head, face-to-face, nose-to-nose, mano-a-mano, Game 6 last Friday night. I watched that one in the living room with Ernestine, which was a mistake because I picked the Thunder, having a bad time with these picks. And in the third quarter of that pivotal Game 6, as Oklahoma City was trying to get Game 7 back home, which they would have won, Russell Westbrook scores 20 points. He just says, I'm going to will this. I'm going to get us home myself. Paul George is George Paul. He's a disaster. He's a complimentary superstar who shrinks in the biggest moments, as he always did when he was the solo star for Indiana against LeBron. So he shrank. He shot 2 for 16. He shot 0 for 6 from 3. And what happened? Donovan Mitchell said, no, not in my house. And he scored 22 to Russ's 20 in the third quarter and staved it off and held it off. And still Oklahoma City had a last possession down 3. They had 6 straight shots and could not convert. Paul George did get fouled on the first 3-point attempt of that 6 shots. Not on the last one, but whatever. They lost. They're out. Donovan Mitchell is a star. Donovan Mitchell took over at Houston last night down the stretch. He guarded James Harden. He got physical with James Harden. And he made all the little plays and passes, including the signature play, at least the signature dunk of the playoffs so far, which was the little Euro step, little floater that he shot, and then slammo-whammo, put it back down right in the face of Clint Capella, Trevor Ariza, and P.J. Tucker, the whole front line of the Houston Rockets. Boom, right in your face. And that sent a message. We are legit. We are going home 1-1. Terry Rozier did it again. Another Louisville player I just didn't see coming. I had no idea. He's Kyrie Irving. Was that not Kyrie-esque? Does he not move like Kyrie? Does he not have the handle? Does he not have the range? Does he not have the guts? Does he not have the fearlessness? I've never seen anything like it. He's just taking these games over, and he did it again tonight. He just took the game over. And Boston is just better coached. Not that Brett Brown's a bad coach, but he lost control of his team because his point guard, the quote-unquote Rookie of the Year, who's actually a redshirt freshman, second-year player in the NBA, Ben Simmons, melted down, lost it, lost his poise, lost his way, lost his confidence. He looked overmatched and played out of control in the first half, so Brett Brown sits him for a good stretch, third quarter into fourth quarter, and played a little T.J. McConnell, who's actually not that little. Every time I think he's like 5'10", I look and he's 6'2", but, you know, T.J. played at Duquesne for a while, for 2 years, and then he transferred to Arizona trying to win a national championship, and they were very good. They got to the Elite Eight. But T.J. McConnell's pretty good. And so Brett Brown's going to be under fire in Philly right now because while T.J. was in there, they went on a nice run and did regain the lead and looked like a basketball team because he was setting them up and penetrating and making little big plays. He got a couple of offensive rebounds, and he made a couple of sweet little dishes, and he got a couple up and unders, and he just made it go. He brought a spark and a direction and a stability to the offense that Ben Simmons just lost tonight. And again, I respect his game. I picked him because of Ben Simmons.